Hello children, so we will look into the next video of our chapter 8 body movements, and in this video we will look into the different types of joints. So human body and its joints. Movement is possible in our body because of the presence of bones and muscles. Now there are points in our body where two parts or two bones seem to meet and you call it as your joint. We had seen in the last video about ball and socket joint. Now we will look into it once again. Now the ball and socket joint, you can see there is a bowl like structure present with a cavity inside. And you can see a bone is present here with a ball like structure fitting into the cavity or your hollow space. Cavity means like a bowl. It has an outer covering but it is empty inside. Now the best example is your hip joint. You can see the head of your thigh bone is fitting into the cavity here, and the head of this bone is like a ball and it is fitting into your socket or a hollow space. This is your hip joint. You can see a bowl like structure and a rounded end of the bone, and you have your remaining bone here. So maximum movement is possible in ball and socket joint. You can move it in all the directions. Another example is your shoulder joint, your arm. Arm also, for example, you think about a bowler bowling. So he will rotate the arm in a complete circle and then bowl. So maximum movement is possible there, and that is your ball and socket joint. Next you have your pivotal joint, that is your neck joint. So your neck, you can see you can bend it forward, backward, you can look to your right and to your left. So in your pivot joint you have your cylindrical bone that rotates in a ring, and you can see rotation here. So that is your pivot joint. So where is it present? It is present in the neck region. So this is your spine or your vertebra. You can see a cylindrical bone here and it rotates in a ring like structure. So that is your pivotal joint. The next joint is your hinge joint. Now what is this hinge? Hinges of a door. Now if you imagine a door and you open it and you close it, so you can take it back, you can take it forward. So this kind of movement is possible in hinge joint. Now what is this hinge? The place where, if you think, the door is meeting to the wall, that point is the hinge, and such movement is possible in hinge joint. One example is you have your elbow. You can see you can take the elbow forward and backward just like a hinge of a door. So this elbow, this part acts like a hinge, and you can take your elbow forward and this bone forward and backward. Another example is your knee. Your knee, you can see, you can take your knee backward and forward. So you have your elbow joint and knee joint that helps you to move your body part in a specific way. So in your hinge joint, you can see your knee, and you can see you can bend your knee backward and forward. So this is your hinge joint. You have your elbow, You can move your elbow forward and backward. So, this kind of movement is present in hinge joint. So, this is your elbow, this is your knee. So, these are the examples of hinge joint. Next, you have your fixed joint, that is in your skull. Is there any movement possible here? No movement is possible in your fixed joint. It does not move at all. No movement, or it does not move at all. So, that is your fixed joint. Another example of fixed joint is your upper jaw. Your upper jaw is fixed tightly to the skull and no movement is possible there. The only jaw that you can move is your lower jaw. So, the upper jaw is an example of a fixed joint, another is your joint in the skull. So, they are fixed joint. So, this much for today's video. Thank you children.